What is it like to have a situation with your sister locks or your micro locks and you feel a bit lost and then you find Melissa and then you research Melissa and then you book Melissa and you have a consultation with her and then you learn knotted locks and practice knotted locks and you're at early stage of your knotted locks experience. What is the experience like being connected with Melissa online? That's what you're going to find out today as I present another of my Beyond the Knots, this time a DIYer. I hope you enjoy this chat. I hope you enjoy this chat. Oh my God, Melissa, I'm so excited. So, welcome to my Beyond the Knots session. This is a Beyond the Knots session. What it is obviously I taught you knotted locks, but the idea really is for you to just discuss or talk about your experience, just so that people watching this have a sense of Melissa, because people are curious about what is Melissa like, what is it like being taught by Melissa, and blah, 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 and the aftermath of knotting. And I just think, simply because we're each other's namesake, and we write our names in the same way, we spell our names in the same way, and you're a recent DIY learner, I just thought, and by the way, Melissa, your hair looks gorgeous, lovely and full. Yeah, I
Oh,
just
thank
thought it
you.
would be great. So thank you for accepting my invitation to come on my space and just have a conversation about your experience
hmm
with knotted locks. So thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, of course. Yeah.
I think
Um,
what would be good, Melissa, is just to kind of give a background in terms of your hair and where you were
okay.
at for you to then reach out to me. That'd be good.
Okay. Let's see. Well, this is I've been locked before, but it was traditional locks, and I was locked for 10 years. Uh, I started that on my own because when I got out the military and I went to Japan, I needed to have some type of a style where I didn't have to rely on others. I wanted to kind of take control. So I started doing my own locks. I had those for 10 years. And then when I got pregnant with my second child, I decided I wanted more styling options, styling versatility. So that's where I was working at a place and I saw someone that had Sisterlocks and I can braid hair. So I was just kind of like, I can do a little bit more. And
Yeah.
so I cut off my traditional locks. I kind of let the new growth grow out and then I cut
Yeah.
it to the new growth part. And then after I had my daughter, she was, how old was she? I think 3 months old.
Ah,
That's when I got Sisterlocks.
okay.
And I've had these, which are, sister locks for about 15 years.
Right.
And what I started noticing is like I've had them super long and I would cut them, but just the weight of it was too
Yeah.
much. And I kind of thought like, my hair was getting kind of flat on the top. I just didn't have that life. And I'm a person that just kind of like doesn't want to be tied down and on someone else's schedule. I wanted to have that freedom and flexibility. So yeah, I just started doing my own retightenings, but then I couldn't get it back. So sadly, I had my daughter do it for me. And she would take her like a week. So by that time, some of my hair would have grown out.
Right.
And so I've got like these different, like some of has a little more new growth than the other. And then I just felt kind of like bored. My hair is just boring. I would think that having all these locks, I'd be
Yeah.
more creative, but I just
Yeah.
wasn't. I just wasn't. I was just like, oh, because it got pulled and retightened. If I put too much
Yeah.
tension on it, that's gonna put more on it. And then it was almost like if I wet it, then it's gonna get loose. And
Yeah.
I got some that I didn't get on the retightening thing until a little bit later, and so that's gonna get looser. So it
Yeah.
was like I felt restricted. You would think something such as micro locks or sister locks would give you more freedom, but I felt based on the retightening regimen, it
Mm.
was really just keeping me locked in, which is funny because by definition, that's what your hair is. It's locked. But everyone talks about, oh, you're gonna have this freedom, but
Yeah.
you don't. And I'm not saying sister locks is bad or market locks is bad. It's the foundation.
Yeah.
But based on how long you've had the locks and how long
Yeah.
they've become, it no
Yeah.
longer for me was sustainable. It just wasn't, because it was like the constant retightening for me
Right.
was putting like strain. And even on the top of my head, I kind of felt like a sensitivity, like, why does it hurt there? And I just felt like it was really thinning, because it was like pulling so tight that it was like comparable to someone putting like very tight braids in your head. And it was just like, I was doing it to myself. It's like, I don't have to do this. But to me, it wasn't any other alternative. But then I started praying, and I
Mm.
felt like, you know, why should I be worried so much about my hair? There's other things I want to do. I don't want to be like restricted to like, okay, you gotta get on this retightening schedule. And if you don't keep up with it, they're going to break off. And so is that constant fear. So I prayed to the Most High Yahuwah, and I said, Abba, yeah, I really have other things I want to do. I'm going to cosmetology school. I have these children, and I want to do fun things like swimming and hiking, and not worry about if I sweat or work out, it's gonna undo what was done. And I said, like, I know that you say that the very hairs on our head are numbered. So I just started praying. And then in the course of me going to cosmetology school and just kind of looking, for different videos on how to do the type of things that they were teaching me in cosmetology school, after praying and saying, like, hey, there's got to be an alternative. I don't want to lose my hair. Your hair is your crown. Not that we need to be vain about it, but it reflects the glory of the Most High. And I like having kinky hair. I like my natural hair. And that's the whole reason why I did Sisterlocks, right? Or just locks in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I came across your video, and you were saying, like, do you know the parts between your head? It's widening, something's nibbling. And I'm like, it would be like a very short, like a short of you talking, Melissa. And I
Mm.
was like, this is exactly what I was praying to the Most High about. I said,
Mm.
but I was just like, I'm so busy, I don't have time. My
Mm.
regret is like not doing it sooner. But it wasn't like I was actively seeking an alternative. It's more like I
Okay.
was on to something else. I was like really just looking on YouTube videos that kind of showed me how to cut hair or how to
Right.
do a blowout or something like that. And then you came along. So I really believe on my search and just seeking the Most High, he says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto me. As a born again believer in the Most
Ah.
High, through Yahushua, I was just like, he answered my prayer. Like that there was answering. And then just looking at more of your videos and things like that, it
Mm.
was just like, this is the alternative. Because by nature, your locks, they are a series of knots over a long period of time. You just kind of, like what you're saying, it accelerates it. So I felt like what's my locks pretty much when I feel them, when I was interlocking or just having them maintained through the Sisterlock method, or uh, they basically have lumps in them already.
They
They're
do.
not crazy. People keep thinking that things have to be perfect, like this consistent, like your lock has to be this consistent. And I think with that perfection, it to me, it comes along with that an obsession.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like when you look at it, you're like, no, why should I be like trying to. And what I noticed too, people would say to my hair, because it was when it was getting flatter, it was like,
Mm.
oh, I thought your locks were braids. Or they'd say stuff like, I just like the way they look because they just hang down flat. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like that. It was like, oh, and it would be people that were not people that were, like of the Black diaspora, or the, Cuban women. They would just ask me, people that were like Caucasian. They'd say like, oh, I like that. It's not like those other locks. And I'm like, so because it looks closer to straight hair,
Mm-hmm.
this is not how my hair grows out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
insulting to me. But when you came along, you pretty much, when I came across you, as the Holy
Mm-hmm.
Spirit led me to you,
Mm-hmm.
I believe like this is an answer to, my problem. Because
Mm-hmm.
if I would have continued going on the trajectory that I was going on with the
Yes.
constant retightening,
Yes.
I'd have more locks break off.
Yes.
And I feel like I am experiencing more growth. I mean, I have my I wouldn't call them bad hair days where I'm just like, ugh, but it's more because I'm changing from
Yes.
what I
You're
used to
you're
be. I'm having to
adapting.
get used to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're
So I feel
reprogramming.
very blessed. Yes, reprogramming is
You're
the word.
reprogramming. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel very blessed, to know this. And I just don't. I feel I have autonomy over my head. I have more control, and I not when I want to.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
And yeah, I just
Melissa, it's wonderful. Melissa, I have to ask you, when you were
yeah.
describing your experience, Tell me about the breakage, your Sisterlocks experience. Did you have locks that fell off or dropped off?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, I had locks. I think what happened was they got thin because as they kept getting threaded through the
Yes.
hole,
Yes.
and no matter how gentle a person is, I mean, I would say my daughter is pretty gentle,
Right.
but you gotta think like you're tightening it, and at the frequency you're doing, it's
Yeah.
called friction. So that
Yeah.
block threaded. So by the time my daughter did do it, or I did it, it popped off because it didn't have
Right.
support from the root. There's like barely hairs hanging on to it, and I think sometimes when you want to thread with the tail, I'm supposing, but sometimes it hooks in the mid shaft, so that gets weak because there's no connection. There's been breakage within the lock. So, I mean, yeah, they broke off, and yes, for the most part, those locks were healthy. I mean, the ones from the shaft were healthy,
Right.
but they're in a bag somewhere. Like it's not on my head. I mean, what am I gonna do with that?
That's a really weird situation, when I'm doing a consultation and they show me the bag of hair. That's really strange if you think about it, because normally when we're shedding, there's little hairs. But to actually see bags of locks, so people say, look, this is how much has dropped off, you know, and it's increasing now, is the strangest feeling. And accepting it that is normal. When you have the Knotted Locs experience, when you begin to accept that this wasn't what I was accepting wasn't normal, it's really, really interesting because, like you, it was just normal for me. For my locks were just on the floor after my consultation. My consultant finished my hair. I just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, every retightening. Yeah, it was just normal. And
Right.
when I was told by people who didn't have Sisterlocks, because I feel like you don't understand Sisterlocks. If you understand Sisterlocks, you wouldn't ask me about this because this is normal. And so they'd be like, it's not normal. I said it's shedding. So and that's what I'm discovering, that people have a language, like when you see the white follicle heads. And like people are like, it's just standard. It's just normal. It's part of pain. It's just normal. Grids, it's just normal. Grids widening, it's just normal. Lint, it's just normal. Everything is just normal. So it's kind of a strange, intuitive feeling to have to think something's not right. I don't know why, what it is. I call it boring, but I just feel something's missing. And there I come effortlessly. That's because we're in sync and you are ready. And initially, you don't realize how urgent it is. Like, it's when I come on your space, it's super urgent. That's like divine intervention because you don't look at the back of your head. You don't see how much hair you've lost. But God, the ancestors, like the divine knows that you
Oh, it's good.
can you hear? Did it move?
Yeah, you're coming going in and out, but
Oh, you're
I catch
delaying.
what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
But did you hear me? Did you hear what I was saying? Did you
Yes.
hear any of what I was saying? Because what I was saying is
You. Mhm.
before, before you understand what's going on, the divine knows. God like knows. The ancestors like they know that you have a problem. Now you can't see up the back of your head. You can't see how much hair loss you're having. You can't really understand. By the time you see the trauma, it's significant because it's super subtle. So I come on your space. When I come on your space, it's the beginning of this is an emergency. Now you don't think it's an
Mhm.
emergency. So you're like, oh, that's interesting. You move on to something else. But the good thing is that
I did.
you're not, you don't get given up on. Does that make sense? It will come time and time again until you say, oh, this makes sense. Does that make sense? So that's what happened to you because
Yes.
your sister locks is in a bag. It's urgent because it's not normal for your hair to be in a bag. Does that make sense? And then the boredom thing is just the flatness, which makes sense. It's braided, it's backward braided. You can, and when it starts getting thinner, you can really see the plaited movement, the braided movement. That's it showing you
Yes.
it's getting thinner. Because initially it wasn't like that. You had a lot of hairs curled over and it looked much more juicier. And then slowly, 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 it gets tired. You totally, totally get the idea of what was happening to your hair. You like totally got it. the challenge is it sounds because you don't have a language or word for it initially. So it sounds like you need knotted locks, but you just don't know the word for it. Does that make sense? You just think, well, I'm just having these feelings, but where am I going to get the solution? I pray for a solution, but Sisterlocks is it, full stop. Microlocks is it, full stop. So what was it like when it finally clicked for you, Melissa? It finally clicked for you and you're like, oh my God, this is what I need. What was it like for you? And were there any objections in your head simply because you realized logistically where I'm based and all of that? Talk me through that. What was that like for you?
I think at first I was like, how am I gonna get over to her to do it if she's based in London? Like, how does this work? And then I started kind of like, well, then to me, it was up to me to actually, because the number was right there. You put your number on, but for some dumb reason, I'm sorry, I just be like, yeah, this looks good. They're like very short, and I was very because I kept seeing your hands work on the
Right.
people's heads, and I was like kind of mesmerized by that. I was kind of marveling at it, but the number's there. It was up to me to take that leap of faith and
Yes.
actually call, get a WhatsApp. It's not, it's just me making excuses. Like Yah, he the Most High, Abba Yah, he presents to me the solution because it was there.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, oh, I gotta do this over here.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you like stop the hesitation and just do it? Like I said, the only regret I have is not doing it sooner. Like I don't like that's what I kind of feel like. And I just felt like a relief when I like made contact with you. I feel like,
Right.
wow, like this is the first step in actually getting to a place where
It's
because I was
real.
already like, no, it's real. This is actually me doing it and making that
Yeah.
step because I feel like I was more urgent at that point once I was like, I want to do this. I was like, I want to do this now. But I realized I had to grow out a little bit more of my
Right.
hair to do
Mhm,
it. So then
mhm.
it was just like, oh no, are they gonna like fall out? They
Yes, of
didn't.
course. Yeah. Natural, isn't
They
it?
didn't.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't. Yeah, yeah. The
they didn't.
indoctrination, fear-based indoctrination of how Black women have been, we've allowed control. You know what I mean? Even when we're searching for our freedom, we're still afraid of our freedom, right? Leave your
Right.
hand alone. Oh, but it's gonna fall out. Can it just fall out? Because it fell out when you were doing your hair regularly. So how about you just wait and see if it falls out? That's the beginning of the me trying to help reprogram, because I had to be reprogrammed. It was a struggle for me because I was on my own. And so I was getting a
Mhm.
lot of the negative thoughts, but I didn't have anyone to support me. And so that's why I feel like it's a really important space to be in, not only to teach you guys, but it's just me reminding you all the negativity, all the fear, all the things that you think is there for you not to have this experience. It's just in your head. But we have been controlled like that, generation, as Black women, to say, actually, it's not as easy, but it is easy. Because you basically, your video was great. Your video was great. When I saw your video, because so I have a filtration system as well, because I know it's not everyone who can reprogram. It's not everybody who Knotted Locks is for, right? But your video was very informative. I understood what your aspiration it was. I understood your family. I understood your career, the vision you had for your life. I got everything you just explained just now. I got it from that video. It was really clear. You showed me your growth. There was everything said. She would love this because why would I give you an experience that you're not going to absolutely love? It's a pointless exercise. So I could tell from your video was great. And then you had your consultation with me. What was that like? Do you remember?
Um, yeah, it was great. I enjoyed. I learned a lot about why you wanted to do this. You told me about you. It was very personable. I felt like you were very present and you were a great listener. I really felt like, no, it's not in my head. And the fact that you've experienced it
Mm,
made it that much more, I guess like I really felt like you weren't just you're empathizing with me. You were like, no, I know what you're talking about. Like I felt like it was you answered all my questions and basically you're like telling me it's about self-discovery and just learning your hair again individually, each one of them getting to know and that we are perfectly imperfect, which I like what you said because to me, it was almost like, you know, I felt like you were genuine. I did not feel or sense any disingenuousness from you. It was more like, yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're talking about and your passion too about this. And that's something that I will say sadly when I got into Sisterlocks, it was more like about the money. Like I know the word says a workman is worthy of his wages, and you are. You work very hard, but it's something deeper than that with you. You're more about getting people to I call them Hebrew women, this little story. Or Black women, Hebrew women, that we need to love how y'all created us. It's about not hating yourself. So I thought like, I know I just felt very edified in our conversation. Like I felt like, yeah, this is a consultation. We're not gonna do any the one-to-one, but
Mhm.
at the same time it was like, okay, I have something to go off of. It's not like I
Mm.
didn't feel like I was being brushed aside.
Yes, I
And in
see.
fact, I even felt like, yeah, I
I
just didn't
see.
feel like I was being brushed aside.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I never had that. No, I'm so sorry. I mean, like, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Sisterlocks, not at all. They create the foundation, but then it's
Yeah.
almost like they don't want to talk to you. And I just felt kind of like, wow, this person, only one person, you're just one person, but
I am.
you yes, but you want to be as like intimate with that individual that you're teaching because everyone is different. The Most High says we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and He fashions a heart individually. So as such, you treat every person as an individual and based on our hair type. So I just felt that like I really felt like, wow, she really gets me. She's listening. And what would work for me when
Hmm.
you're teaching the knotted will
Hmm.
not always work for somebody else based on the characteristics of hair,
Hmm.
their curl pattern, I should say,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
texture. It might be a little bit different. So it's very customized.
Totally.
And I love that. And
Totally.
yeah, I really did like our consultation. I really enjoyed it. It was very edifying.
Excellent. It's the beginning of the deep programming from a Black woman's experience. So I carry it. It doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Hmm.
All of us have come from some degree of colonization. And I'm just
Yes.
trying to, yeah. And so that's what, because the concept of beauty anyway, full stop, you know what I mean, is that Caucasian idea of what is beautiful. And what I'm trying to show you is that that growth you have, where it's not pulled and tugged, is stunning. But the process to get you there is an ongoing one. Do you know what I mean? So the consultation is the beginning of me deprogramming you. I see you, creating a safe space for you to be heard because it's been in your brain. You've got no one to discuss it this with. You've got no one to just go, what is going on? Am I going crazy? Because when you go online, you don't see the women who are suffering. You see the fabulous hairs, you see the perfect grid, but the women who are really scalpy and struggling, you don't see that to know that's going to be your future. So that's what's great about this moment is that I've got a safe space for people to go into and realize actually, don't think that that person who has a full head of locks, right, is you're going to end up like that because we all have completely different texture hair, right?
Hmm.
And so
Right.
those people who don't have the sexy hairs, they're not on social media. So that's why it's a lonely space. And until you connect with me, that's when I begin to validate
Yes.
the
Yeah.
years of you thinking, this can't be it. Something's off. You know what I mean? And so then I fill those gaps, those spaces for you. I explain to you the threading, it's braiding, yeah, it's pulling, baby hairs. And you're like, oh, that's what it is. And also, it's just boring. Boring. Interlocking is boring. Okay, because I work on clients' head and I started as a certified Sisterlocks consultant. And I was like, if this is my life, Lord, somebody help me. This is just so boring. Up, down, to the south, to the north, half past, quarter past. Somebody help me. If this is my life, this is not, I'm not passionate about African hair if I just do that. But when you place those knots, it's connectivity, it's your Africanness, it's just the essence, the core of being in this melanated body having African hair. And as soon as I started knotting, it awakened that part. That's why I was bored. So like you were bored, I was bored, but the answer just shows up right there quite easily, and it's just for us to just kind of grab it. And that's what you
Yeah.
did. So for you, Melissa, what was if the consultation was like that, what was the session, the one-to-one session where you learned to knot? What was that like for you?
Oh, okay. So I was a little bit nervous, but it was like crunch time. Now here's the time to, just relax. I think the hardest thing is like relaxing and not being so tense because, you know, it to me it was like that. But you weren't like that. You were just very patient and almost like you just eased into it, you know, by you just talking. And as you're talking, you take your hands and it's almost like just naturally integrating the knotting into a normal conversation. It'd be like me saying, like, yeah, so this is what, that's how you were. And then you started to, I start watching your hands. It was more like just watching. And then I was like, oh, look how her hand does it. And I didn't verbalize that. I was just like, you're talking to me. And then after seeing you, let me put my hands in my hair and
Yeah.
see what she's doing. There are a couple of times where I just like, what are you doing? Like, for me, what am I doing?
Yes,
You're
of course.
asking me, what are you
Of
doing?
course.
I think it got kind of like, wait, this isn't hard. But then it was almost like maybe it got a little, I think it got cocky or something. Not in a mean way, but
Yeah.
just not being present and be like, okay, see what
Yes.
you're doing.
Yes.
But I love the fact that you were persistent,
Yes.
very persistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas normal people would probably, not normal people, you're extraordinary. You're different. Not everybody has that ability to teach.
Right.
They just don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some, yeah, but you also do. So that's
Yeah.
different. But I felt like you were very patient with me,
Yeah.
even though I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Or I'd be like, I kind of messed up here. But it was cool because I was learning as I was doing it. I knew like this is a mistake that's about to happen. I can back out of
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
listening to that inner voice, like,
Yes.
okay, and then just pulling back out and not
Yeah.
worrying about it. I think at first it was just like it's a new thing. So with that one-to-one session that we had, it
Yes.
was just me not knowing what to expect. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that's fine. Um, we have to, like you said, deprogram these
Yes.
preconceived ideas. Like it's going to go like this. You have to let it go and have
Yeah.
faith and just um. I trust the Most High and the abilities that He's given me because if He brought me to you, I
Yes.
don't know
You're
how
already
like
there.
well,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You're already there. It's
exactly.
it's an
You're
example
already
of
there.
your life, your children, your friendships, your relationships. You're already there, right? You're
Right.
already there. Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's just for you. That's why I just say to you, relax, relax, because I can see, I understand there's different types of fear. And so I have to tap into the version of fear. You see, people don't understand. People say to me, why don't you group African texture hair? Because, generally they call it 4C, but I call it African textured hair. And what people don't understand, it's not about African texture hair. It's about fear. It's about your level of fear. That's what I identify. That's what's hard for me to translate into doing it into an online course because I identify it live. I can see the category of fear, the level, and then I go in and I face the fear and I bring it up.
Mm.
And then you guys then understand it. And then I say, okay, let's remove it. Because I have to remove the fear first for you to do what you already know how to do. Does that make sense? That's the tricky bit where when I was guided to teach, I didn't know it wasn't about texture, hair. It's not.
Right.
It's about
It's
your
not.
relationship with yourself, Black woman. This is like spiritual, deep stuff. It's about your relationship with yourself, Black woman, and me going, I am you. We have African texture hair, it's curly. We're dark-skinned women. I understand the level of fear you're going through, where you're afraid to get it wrong. And what I'm saying to you is get it wrong. Get it wrong. You will find your hair's not falling out. Because the thing is like, if you do this, you get fired. If you do this, you lose this. If you do this, you always get punished. And I'm like, get it wrong. And then eventually you'll get it right and you'll understand you're perfectly imperfect for this moment. And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. The fact that you are worried, you're afraid, you're worried about error, you make an error. And then I show you, look, you can back out of it. You can let go of that hair. It's not going to drop off. That's the most. So I keep saying to you throughout the session, it's not going to drop off. Don't worry about it. It's not going to drop off. But you need to be aware of certain issues that you're creating for yourself. And once you understand it, you're like, okay. So it's a black on black feminine thing right now. That's the thing. That's why I say when people say, does it look like? I'm like, you mean what does fear look like? Because your African texture hair, you're already blessed with. You already have it. Locks is knots. Right, I'm just showing you how to speed up the process. And once you understand how your hair texture is and you start creating those loops, you begin to understand how wonderful the loops are because you're not getting that braided look anymore. Right?
Right.
The braided look, the thin look, but now you begin to realize you wait, Melissa, you're just at the beginning of it. As the time goes, it's the same, and then you begin to realize, oh, I can thicken that up. Oh, it can look like this. This area, it's so interesting that boredom you used to have, you just excited about being black. It's just the most exciting because Knotted Locs has been created for African hair. Not the straightest of African hair, not the waviest, but the African hair, the hair that people normally would think is ugly. That's really what Knotted Locs is for. And so you just begin to, it's dormant, your knowledge, and you're slowly awakening it. And also you can't rush it. That's another, you just can't rush it. So my session is to open that up, right? Create that safe space where you can be vulnerable and then let go of you, Melissa, which is what you're doing. Like you're just running with it, strolling with it, walking with it, right? And so how does it feel now after the learning session? How has it been for you now after you've practiced it?
Yeah, it's been really great. I feel at ease. I have made some mistakes, but I don't know if I would call them, maybe they're like learning, like a like little teachable moments for me. And just I feel like I just like the way my hair feels. Like it feels like my hair is, what's the word for it? Elasticity, like it draws up, like it
Right.
springs onto itself from the root. And it's not that I necessarily not all the way to the root. I don't do that because I like that fro part,
Good.
but I like the fact that it's in a it's stabilized. My hair is stabilized.
Wonderful.
And I just feel like I have more freedom. I feel like I don't have to ask permission. Oh, is it okay if I
Yeah.
do this? It's like,
Yeah.
no, you can feel if your hair needs a knot or two. Like in my case, I may have had to put like 2 or 3 on some, only because my hair had so much new growth in certain places. But it's not a bad idea. In fact, I think some of them I did not like. It was almost like you want to call it a knot on top of a knot. But you want to know what? It's not even a big deal because once you wet your hair and start massaging it, it will relax. But what I have found, I like that it did that thing. I don't care. Like it doesn't. These things are these little nuances. What do you want to call them? Like in the lock that makes it different from another lock.
Yeah.
That is by nature the African hair
Yeah.
type. It does that. I don't like to make a hierarchy of the
Yeah.
hair types here. They teach you that in cosmetology school. It's just for product understand, just to understand products and what works for the hair. But to me, it creates like this texturism, which I hate. That's like colorism. And that's what's been happening like in our people. Like, oh, she light skin, she got good hair. What is good hair? And for me, when you say that, just when I'm nodding, I feel that it's very easy for me. It's like I was previously made. It's like you can feel it. It's kind of like when you braid hair. If anyone's a braider, I don't know. I used to ask my mom, like, how do you do this braid? She's like, you just have to feel it. And I've made mistakes on my braids too, but it's the feeling of it. No one can explain that. But you have had an ability to just kind of look and see what that person's hand is doing. But for me, it's like the hair tells me what it needs. The hair is kind of, I don't know how to explain it, talking. That sounds so weird. Never give me how to explain it. I let the hair tell me, like that particular lock, what it needs. Maybe it needs a lot bigger, the lock further. It doesn't really matter. Every hair is different, but for me, the experience has been like a learning experience, is learning, what my hair can do. Because you got to think, if you start hair typing and stuff like that, or so saying this hair, what happens is you got various textures throughout your whole entire head, you know, and there's varying degrees of kinkiness in the African hair type. So for me, that's why the dot's going to be different for some of them, is because some of the hair texture is different. Sometimes there's like finer hairs. Sometimes they're coarser hairs. They're still coily, but they're different. So that's been my experience to do that. I mean, I like the fact that when you're talking about like kinky hair textures and how people, we've been told like, oh, your hair is that's unpresentable or unkempt. I like the fact that, like, who said that? A man? Y'all told me
Maybe,
that my
yeah,
yeah,
maybe
but
it's. I think it's within women. I I think it's. I think it's it's a feminine thing. I don't think men are that interested in what we're doing. My
okay,
husband,
okay, what you
like men
think?
aren't. We just feel the drama. We're doing it. It's feminine
I
on.
think you're right.
It's not man. Man
I
doesn't
think
care.
you're
Man just wants like their partner to just be happy so that they can be. They can just carry on and go to that party or go to that. So I do think it's feminine energy. And it's something I really, really want to explore more because I didn't know that it was that strong. I've never really paid attention to it. You know what
right.
okay, so that was an interesting, I like the topic we moved into, right? Because ultimately, even when we look at sister locks, there is the good hair, bad hair. Yeah. You're drawn more to
Yeah.
people who have a certain look. The reality is, those glamorous hair that I see online that people post, my hair never looked like that because I have low density hair. I have actually fine low density hair. It's the knots that have given me the thickness. There's no way interlocking would have given me the level of thickness that I have. And so I think that's really interesting. And the question you're asking is, who made a decision like
Right.
whose hair is good and whose hair isn't? And I just think feminine energy is really strong. And I think for men, as long we're the ones who are pushing this because I don't know what's happening in the US, but in the UK, what I'm observing is the boys are doing a lot more with their natural hair than the girls. So the girls hit that teenagehood and they just wig it, weave it, put it away, braids away. The boys are doing the most funkiest hairstyle. They're twisting it, they're locking it. So I don't know what it's like in the US, but I can see a definite awareness and consciousness in terms of identity in comparison to the girls. Now, boys don't care about, well, boys don't understand it. They base it on their mothers and their aunties. So that's why I
Mm,
really that we are feminine energies perpetuating this lie about levels of beauty, complexion,
right.
and texture. And what Knotted Locks is about you are who you are. You're no better than me. I'm no better than you. It's a complete leveler in terms of just accepting yourself.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's something that us women kind of we compare ourselves. Um, I would have to say like when you say the perpetuation, that seed had to have been planted somewhere. And then from that point on, yeah, guys
Yeah,
don't really care. I have
yeah,
sons.
yeah.
I have two
All
sons. I have
right.
an 18-year-old, and
Yeah.
he wears his hair in locks. He could care less. I mean, I palm it, whatever. He'll go
Mm,
months without me doing anything. So yeah,
yeah,
guys aren't so much obsessed with their appearance. I mean,
yeah,
there are a few here and there. I know in the United States, there are guys that are kind of like, that could just be like what we're seeing on social media. But here in America, like just my personal experience with my sons, they don't care like that,
yeah,
but women tend to have this thing where they compare each other. But I feel like it's something that really hits home with women that are Black or Hebrew women with ourselves, that constant comparing. Your hair looks like this, but I wish it could look more like that. No, no, like I'm a firm believer that, Yah has created us individually and we have unique properties. Yes, women are women. We have our biology, XX, we're women no matter what tribe, nation, tongue. But as far as like particularly women of the Black diaspora, or I would call them some of them Hebrew women,
Mhm.
there's that
Yeah.
division that happens, that competitiveness. And I'm not saying that, I'm all for like, but when it comes down to how you look, you're just that
Yeah.
they're causing us to destroy who we are
Yeah.
and who the Most High created us to
Yeah.
be.
Because you can't help
So
it. This is how
yeah,
you
but for
go.
me, exactly. But the seed was planted somewhere, this European beauty standard. And like you're right, like we've been scattered all across the world, transatlantic slave trade, you're there, I'm here. Some people in Brazil, some people in Puerto Rico, some people in
Yeah.
Cuba, wherever.
Yeah.
But we have this uniqueness about us. But at the same time, there are people that look like you look like me, I look like you.
Yes,
We have
right?
nice
We
hair,
could easily
but
be in Africa together,
mhm,
looking like we're related. Do you know what I mean? We could be anywhere. We really are look like each other. Do you understand what
yes,
I mean?
exactly,
Yeah, we look like we
exactly.
could be related. Even your name. I was in school with a Young in Sierra Leone, right? Yeah, even
Oh,
your surname, Young. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is why I'm really passionate about this because I really do think it connects us all. Sierra Leoneans, I'm from Sierra Leone, and
mm-hmm.
my group, my community, my ancestors are freed African American or Jamaican slaves, and we moved back. So we're not originally from there. We're settlers. We're called the settlers. That's why we speak Creole. So that is
Mm-hmm.
literally what separates me and you is my ancestors went back, but I could easily be in America. And so I really feel strongly that's why Knotted Locks has been brought to us in the way I look. It isn't a coincidence that because I look this way and I have this, that I'm teaching globally Black people, and we're all connected. That's a really important part of the Knotted Locks experiences. As I say to people, it's very much more feeling based than what it's going to look like. Because what it's going to look like is going to look like your hair. What is
Exactly.
it? It's going to look like your hair, and you're going to knot it with the ability that you have. You're not performing for anyone. You're not on a stage. You don't have to put it on social media and get a approval of someone. It's private and it's intimate. So how it looks is how it looks. But think about the self-empowerment and how you feel when you start keeping your locks separated in a healthy way for the longest, and you just go and you maintain this gorgeousness, this fullness. Your hair becomes fuller, lifted because of self-acceptance. What's the
Right.
like? It's like that's the real black love. That's what I call it. That's the real, real, real black love. Is that you like accept the hair texture you have, and then you just knot accordingly. The knots don't really change your hair texture. The knots is there, and you've noticed that you can make that knot as seamless as the interlock. You can make it as seamless or you can make it as chunky. You have the choice. That's what I like about it. But I really do think it's a representation of where we need to be as feminine, and hopefully the men join in, but as feminine Black energy, African energy, I feel that the knots, once you practice it, I just feel like it drips it covers all areas of our lives. And honestly, all I'm trying to get us to do is love on each other. Like love on each other, whatever texture you have, whatever experience you're having, just love on. I don't feel the insecurities and the fears anymore. Imagine I just love my hair, and then I read somebody says my hair, I don't like your hair. Like I am loving this moment, right? And the amount of
Right.
I've had to remove, Melissa, that says, well, I like the idea of not to look, but I don't like your hair. What am I supposed to do with that information? Like the amount of comments I've removed where people have said they don't like my hair. Like you just don't qualify because your hair looks like that. And I'm like, no, but I do qualify because my hair looks like this. But why have you come into my safe space I'm creating and you're telling me you don't like my hair? How is that going to help the dark-skinned woman with tightly
Right,
curled African hair? Because that's who I'm trying to meet. I'm trying to connect with those people. And
right,
so I do think it's a reflection of our society, but I think that it might have started on the masculine, but we are riding it. At some point, you can say, you know what? That so started it, but I'm not going to carry it on. I'm going to break the cycle.
right,
We have a
right.
responsibility to break the cycle. So for me, Knotted Locks is that. Knotted Locks
Hmm.
is breaking the cycle of I'm better than, I prefer this hair, let's categorize it as this and da, da, da. It's African texture hair, and
Hmm.
you're knotting it your way.
Hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
and when you're describing how you're knotting, Melissa, that's exactly it. It's self-empowerment. It's your relationship with your hair. Why would I go and interrupt that? Why would I be interrupting it when it's your business and it's your hair? It's time for
Right.
us to do that. There is a space for people to go and get the neat look and the grid, and it serves them. That's brilliant. But there's another group of women like me, like you, who wanted an
Hmm.
alternative. And therefore, that's what this is. And hopefully, you can feel it, like when you're doing your hair, you can feel the essence of what Melissa's trying to do, which is really, I still believe this, like we're stronger together. I've said this mantra for 13 years, Melissa. We are stronger together. And every
Hmm.
time I've tried to connect with women at a certain level, it doesn't work. But I believe it. So now, what I'm doing is through my work, right? I'm trying to demonstrate that we can support each other. We can see each other vulnerable, Melissa, and we can hold a safe space to allow that
Hmm. Yeah.
vulnerability to be seen and felt and to say you can shift it. And I'm here until you're ready to shift it. I'm just going to remind you, you can shift it. You're empowered and you can shift it. That's really the essence of Knotted Locs. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Are you feeling that as you're practicing it? Are you understanding the essence of it? Are you feeling it? I'd like to know what the aftermath is. I'd like to know what it's like now that I've explained it to you, and I've taught you. And I want to know what your vision is and what you're excited about and looking forward to.
I'm excited because this is just the early beginnings and it's very promising. It's like a little seed, and you don't exactly know what that's going to become. It's like a seed packet. You see the seed, but the seed is never what it is until you plant it into the ground and then it grows and it becomes what that picture is presented on the packet. So for me, I look forward to seeing, more fullness of I just just the growth, I mean, my hair grows, but I just like having that fullness, looking for more of my grays to come in and see what that looks like with the new, like with the knots. Like you're right, it's yeah, there are knots there, but to me, it's more like enhancing or just really showcasing that curly hair. I do miss my fro, I do, but I also like the styling flexibility. Maybe I'll style it more. Maybe I'm looking more and being gentle with them. It's not necessary I have to like pull so hard to get it into a style. There's different ways I could do it and still show like the styling flexibility of it, but at the same time show that hey, my hair is like it's a tightly coiled, and not caring. Like if someone I really don't care what anyone someone saying to me like, oh, those don't look like sister, I could care less because the thing about it is like I'm not validated by somebody else's opinion of me. Going back to your comment about someone saying like I don't like your the way your locks look, I don't like the way the knots on your head, or someone could say that about me. To me, it's like if I was to like kind of delve into that person, they hate themselves. They hate the fact that you're confident and you don't care. You're confident in what Yah has given you. And so I look forward to seeing, like, I've seen your locks kind of like
Mhm.
change. Like
Yeah.
they used to be not as, I don't know, like almost all of a sudden they just kind of did. Cause I was looking at it and I made one comment, but I know you're very busy, like I was like, wow, you have really dense hair. Like, cause to me, your hair is fine. but it looks like
Yes.
it's denser. Like there's
Ye-
more, like even the root, there's just like more hair everywhere. Like
Yes.
the new growth, perhaps your hair was always maybe dense, but you didn't know because density and thickness are completely different. Like you have a lot of hair on your head, but probably each strand is very
Fine.
fine.
Yeah.
But
Fine.
you can still have density, high density all over your hair. It's like hair per square inch, but then the strand is thinner. That's all that
Yeah.
I think your hair, and I've seen that. Whereas I think it's because little hairs are sprouting up in your hair. So I look forward
Yeah.
to that. I look forward to having little hairs come out through the cracks, the cracks, give me the parts,
Yes,
like what
Melissa.
you have. Like
Yeah.
I can't really see your parts, like unless you're
None.
deliberately trying to spread out the hair on
Yeah,
purpose.
none.
But perhaps I mean, I don't know I don't know. I know that maybe new follicles come up because
They
you're not
have,
putting.
Melissa. 2024. I started knotting in 2018.
Mhm.
2024, fine strands came through. That's what you guys are seeing when you go, my God, it looks full. Forget the ends. Close to the scab, it looks fuller. It's because I didn't know 6 years down the line, I have hairs, new hairs between the locks. That's how
Yes,
long healing takes. It's not just 2 years or even 3 years. My hair has changed. It's still fine. And the knots are still working because the knots help thicken it up. But I have had recovery. And that's simply because I don't knot close to the scalp. There is no tugging or pulling. The follicles must never know that you're re-knotting your hair. And so I'm at an advantage where, you were saying like you miss your afro. Like you could just grow you decide how much growth you want to have, but when you style your hair, you can have a whole load of afro as you're styling it. You know what I mean? You can just bring your hair all in like this, it's all afro, and then your locks are at the
yes,
end. So what I say is that's what I love about knotted locks is the fact that you can have your natural hair and locks and rock that for a while and then knot it down and then leave it. Like there's so much choices. I just kind of give you a loose baseline and then there's variations of that. So I feel like that's really exciting. It's the unknown, Melissa. That is what I'm excited about. And it's different for everyone and it shows up differently each person's experience. And that's why it's really important to have a continuity of these chats and these conversations, because when you get that seed and they've got the picture of that flower on the package, you realize when that plant grows that it doesn't quite look like the picture. It doesn't look like the picture. It looks like how it should look because of the position of where it was, whether the sun got it, how much it was watered. It's DNA structure, but it looks like it should look. And we love that plant for what it looks like, even though it doesn't match the packet. And so that's why
right.
I'm excited about your experience because you learned in 2024, was it August? I think.
I think so. Yeah, it was August
Yeah. So you are
or
so, because we're only in September. So I just feel like it would be great for you. And I mean, this is the first time we're doing this, Melissa, and our conversation is just flowing, right? And you'd be
yeah,
remembered obviously because you're my name. I'm your name and you're my
yeah,
name. So-
yeah. It means honeybee. That's what it
yeah.
means, honeybee. And there's another one, I think, Devra, we'll call it Devra, like the Hebrew way, that means honeybee as well. It's
Oh,
just the Hebrew
really?
way. Yeah, it means
Yeah.
honeybee. But yeah, I think like when you're showing your growth, you're like an extreme. You live in an extreme, so you
Yeah,
could
I'm
be
extreme. Yeah. I'm extreme
and
even
I
with the
think
swimming, right? The swam to
yes,
yesterday, swam like I swim 4 or 5 times a week. So I'm super, super
right,
extreme. My hair's wet all the time. I washed my hair in the swimming pool, then I came home and then I washed my hair. So I washed my hair twice today. I washed here, right?
right.
Pool. When I came home, I washed here.
All right, right.
So I
Wow.
washed. But I was like, yeah, I just want to give it that extra because my wall's there and all of that. I'm like, and you oil from base to all the way down. I wash. So
Yes.
sometimes I wash twice a day. So I am the extreme so that you guys decide on that spectrum of neatness of Sisterlocks and Melissa doing whatever she wants to do whenever. You get to decide what suits you in the area of your head even that you're looking after, because you can do different things, depending on the curl pattern, depending on what you want, you can just choose. It's about choice.
Right. It is about choice. It's about having that freedom. And I don't want to have like restrictions like that. And I love like, to me, it's just more for people when they make comments about I don't like this. That's your preference. That's that person's preference.
Yeah.
Then to me, it's more of an aesthetic issue. To me, it's like, so that person doesn't like it. I feel bad when I hear from other women that particularly may look like me and you and do have that curl texture and they make those comments. I feel sorry for them. They say, "Oh, I don't like all that curl," and it's like, as a born again believer, I know who I am in the great I am. I know him when he came to earth, Yahushua. He had kinky hair. His hair was like wool. Would you dare tell the Most High, if a person is a born again believer and they claim to know him, the Creator, I don't like this. This is ugly what you did. This is ugly how you made this person. If
Yeah.
they're to me, when someone says that about their hair and they happen to look like me and you, well, I don't like that because I saw so and so who may not have the same hair texture, may not even look exactly, and they're pretty in their own way because y'all created them. That person is not only uh, really being negative to that person, how y'all created the hair to crop their head, they're telling y'all, you make mistakes. What you made is ugly. How that person's hair grows out, though they look like me and you, and they have tightly coiled hair, it's ugly. I would never call Yahushua Hamashiach that. But see, that is something that has been perpetuated by our own people. And now
Yeah,
you're right, we have to cut it off. So I
it
think
has
by you
to.
growing up your hair
You have to
like
think
that,
about it. You shouldn't do it. The energy it takes to actually put that. You think of the energy of going and then sending it and somebody else read it and it's not love. That's fear. That's
uh,
you afraid of yourself. The energy.
yes.
How are you healing? Because I'm cool and fine. Because it's beyond the knots. That's what people
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. It's beyond the knots. I have a family. I have a life. And so for me, I just want my locks separated. So the fact that you don't like it, what am I supposed to do? Take another 10, 15 days, extra days to try and get to create a small size locks that you like when I don't even know you? How is that
No, you
sensible?
don't have to.
But I'm freeing up my time. I knot quickly and then I do this and I knot and I'm able to do that and live my life and balance my mental health and all of that and answer my calling. And that's what it's about. That's why I keep going back to it being feeling based. Because if I stopped at the aesthetic, Melissa, it's super dangerous. It's super dangerous. We need to go deeper as feminine, Black energy, African textured women into the feeling of self-empowerment. What does that feel like for you? So that's the question I want to ask you, Melissa. Now you've
Mhm.
practiced the knots. What does your self-empowerment as a dark-skinned, African textured hair woman, what does it feel like right now?
The empowerment,
Hmm.
well, I mean, as a dark-skinned Hebrew woman, I feel like I'm reflecting the Most High. I feel like, even though I'm weak in my just learning this, coming into this and just being imperfect, I feel like I do believe that the Most High Yahuwah, his strength is made perfect through my weakness, through me not being all well put together, articulate, eloquent speaking. It just, to me, it's just a reflection of that. It's me like kind of rebelling against the societal norms, what people have deemed as like, this is what's good and this is what's beautiful. Like, I feel like I don't even have to say a word. My hair is talking, like saying it. My hair, when I walk out, and people are like, I don't have to. I don't have to have this eloquent speech. And like, yes, I'm very vocal about my faith, you know? You might say like, and I love my women. I love my people. I love my people. I love like our hair, who we are, how we're fearfully, wonderfully made. And I feel like maybe me walking out with my hair was this way, this empowerment, there might be someone that looks like me that will see me in a store. What is that? And I can tell the story. I use my hair maybe as a way to share the gospel as well, the good news of who we are, God's chosen ones. I know some people are like, what are you talking about, Melissa? You go off, and I am going kind of like on a tangent, but I'm trying to make those connections.
But
For so long,
it's
we
your
have this,
language. It's your love language to yourself. And just like how nobody has the right to go, I actually don't like it. Nobody has the right. Because your representation, if you exist, Melissa, you're a
yes,
representation of others. And so
exactly.
you are supposed to be able to communicate that, whether it's non-verbally or verbally. I think that's the problem, is that we just make sweeping decisions about how somebody should be appear in the world. But there's a reason why you're this combination of appearance and thought and practice, because somebody else wants to hear that, looking like you. That's really important, looking like you. And so that's the idea, is to create this movement, these women practicing knots who are representing their groups, you know what, of diverse, dynamic women, and saying, well, if I've done it, you can do it. Oh, it's going to be hard. Well, it's actually quite easy. Just Google it. Just Google knotted locks, and you'll find that actually it's
Yeah.
not. The fear you're having is just in your mind, because you can have this
Oh,
experience like I am. You can be empowered and enjoy your hair as beautiful as it is. That's the idea. And self-empowerment will evolve. So now you've just learned it, you're just practicing, you're learning about yourself. It just becomes much more beautiful. I always say this, like, Knotted Locs has not been brought to the market and not been taught by me or practiced by
mhm.
me for even 0% hurt or negativity. It is there so you love on yourself and you enjoy the experience of closing your eyes and touching your hair and creating these loops. So for you, that's all I wish for you to just, now you're just more and more joy. You make a mistake, you enjoy the mistake. You're like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
that's interesting. I was distracted. Okay, Melissa, don't do that anymore. Like, just have fun with being you in your awkward self. That is the
yeah,
idea. And know that every time you're knotting, it's a connection between me and you as well, because it's birthed from me thinking, oh, this is what I need to do. You
right.
guys know my story, you know, and so it will always, when you learn from me or I practice knotted locks on your hair, we're forever and ever connected. That's really what I love, is the connection I'm getting with each and every one of, you know, of my people. You are my people, you know. So yeah. Now I wonder if you have a question for me, Melissa.
Yeah, I had this question, but so when you say you go swimming a lot and then you wash your hair, um, okay, I know you're not trying to like promote a product, but what do you wash your hair with? Is it just like you have a shampoo or
Yes, I
conditioner
do.
regimen?
And I have a story. I'm glad you asked that. So I have a shampoo that I use, and it's a conditioner as well, and it's from your equivalent to your $1 store, right? It's like a one
Hmm.
pound shop, right? It's
Hmm.
convenient. It's down the road from where I swim. My daughter has this app that scans good products and bad products. Good products is 100%. Rubbish products are under 50% or like 35% or 40, like 20 something percent. She scanned my product with my permission, and it was 38%, right? She was like, it's really
Oh,
bad. It's 38%. Then the app tells you the alternative. So the alternative is in the health store. The price is not important to me. So I moved. I used it. My hair started tangling.
what?
Yeah. I used that great shampoo, that healthy shampoo, and my hair felt different. I go,
Oh.
girl, I went back to my $1 shampoo. I've gone back to my $1 shampoo because it's gorgeous. My strands feel gorgeous, lovely, separated. I don't know what's in it, but if my hair was at risk, I'd know it. But the health shampoo just doesn't work every time I use it. So I'm trying to finish that bottle. And how I'm doing it is my $1 or £1 bottle, I'm using the conditioner to help soften it. Then I'm putting the good shampoo on. That's how I'm using it. When it
Oh,
finishes, I'm not buying the good shampoo. I'm not buying the good shampoo because I just like how my hair feels with the one cheap shampoo.
okay.
Because ultimately, it's about feeling. It's
Right.
about feeling, and I just feel great. My hair feels great, and so that's yeah, that's and everyone's meant to use different shampoos and different conditioners because everyone's environment is different, hair texture is different. Some people could like one in the winter, and in the summer they're using a different one. One of my biggest issues with Sisterlocks was the product thingy because it just didn't work for my hair. And so that's what I'm loving about Knotted Locks is it's taking you back to your childhood. You know, if you
Right.
want to put DAX in your hair, if you want to put grease in your hair, do it. If you want to put light oils in your hair, do it. Whatever you want to do, because you're grown, you can do it. And then when you do it wrong, you'll know you've done it wrong and you can swap back. Just like how I went, well, I don't like how it makes me feel, and I've swapped back. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
So that's my story about using a shampoo.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because sometimes, yeah, it's all about feeling what the hair needs. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what it's about. And about feeling, I have one last question for you because you said to me at the beginning, your sister locks felt you could feel the weight of it and like it felt a bit heavy, or you could feel like pulling, you could feel the weight of it, even though your hair was long. So you used to cut your hair. Since you've left your hair alone, how has that feeling, how has that your hair felt with regards to the weight or the pulling or the vulnerability of your crown area? How has your hair
I
been?
don't, yeah, I don't feel that anymore, the heaviness. I feel that it feels lighter.
Okay,
Um,
good.
because like I said, like, uh, the elasticity of it, it's pulling on itself. Like the root is able to, it's strong enough now to support the weight of it.
Good.
Almost like the elasticity, it springs back. It's not
Yes, because
like
it's
so
pulling.
heavy that it's pulling.
Yeah,
So
it
no,
was
I feel like it's lighter.
good.
And it can get lighter. I mean, it's gonna get lighter,
It
but
is because you just
um,
started. So what's happened is
yeah,
you've stopped pulling, you've rested your scalp, and now your follicles don't know when you're relocking your hair. So you're strengthening and you're wetting it all the time. You're oiling it, you're wetting it. You're interacting
yes,
with it in a grown-up way where you're making an
yes,
informed decision on the basis of how your hair feels. And therefore, it doesn't feel as heavy or pulled or weighty, which makes sense. It's not the knots that have done it. It's not the knots. It's the water and the fact that you've taken a
yes,
break from an unnatural way of trying to maintain your small size locks, your sister locks. And now you're doing it in a lovely, natural way. And then the knots are just aiding you to carry on doing that because the follicles don't know that you're re-knotting your hair. The strand, yeah, they don't, the hair doesn't know, the strand don't know. You're not doing any at any cost, you're not. And so that's why it feels normal. So therefore,
right,
know you can grow your hair as long as you want to and never feel the pull or never feel the heaviness of it because your scalp is healed from the trauma.
yes,
That's what it
exactly.
is. That is what it is. Melissa, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this with me. And I hope you enjoyed it so
I
much.
did.
Yay. You'll come back and update and say, and I met Melissa anytime. Just message me, go, you want to know, Melissa? I could do an update now because I've done it for 3 months or 6 months or whatever. I could actually
Mhm.
show people what it's like because you matter absolutely. You representing yourself, somebody will see you and go, I can do that. Right? So that'd be
Right.
great if you can come back and share. Yeah.
Absolutely, I would. I would love to.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa. Enjoy the rest of your day. For me, it's like 7:15. What time is it there? So it's evening for
Uh,
me.
it's 12. It's in the afternoon,
Look,
12:15.
look at that. You have the rest of the day to love on yourself, not your hair, and enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
So
What a
thank you so
blessing.
much. And
Hallelujah. Yeah.
feel satisfied and fulfilled. Melissa, you have done a really important start. You've done really important work today because for a Black woman, I know my clients are private, online and offline. I know each of you are private. You guys do not come on social media. So to come on social media and do this, pat yourself on the back, tip your locks in your direction because you did it. you went beyond, like it's service. So I appreciate the fact that you took yourself out of your comfort zone, Melissa, to do this for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, no problem. Yeah, I had to pray about it, but I felt like if I can encourage other
Yes.
women, I'll do it. It's like, if they're struggling with like thinning, like just,
Yeah.
or maybe they can encourage somebody else and they want to
Yes.
take that step. It's like just trust the process, trust that God gifted you with that ability to do it,
Yeah.
and just do it and just be okay with your errors and learn from them and just forgive yourself because give yourself grace too.
Give
So yeah, thank
yourself
you so much.
grace. Oh, Melissa, thank you so much. Have the greatest day ever. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care,
You
Melissa.
as well.
Bye, my
Bye.
love. Bye, Melissa.
Bye.